Round of applause. Exciting. So I would say this is finishing. Turn around, smile. Yay. Hey, everybody. Obviously going through profit proofing your clinic, talking about the memberships, the high ticket packages. Nobody wants to know this information at all. They've only been asking about it for 2 days. So we're going to go through this. So I know the dog. After this, what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring up a couple of vendors. Strive also has some giveaways that they'd like to give. I think they said like a year's supply of GLP. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're like, what? But we do want to do some of those giveaways. After that, we're going to take about a 10-minute break, and then we're going to do the master panel Q&A. And then that's going to be the end of this amazing, incredible event. But who has to leave? Does anybody have to leave early? Nobody, just a few people. Like, are you able to stay till the end? We'll probably be done around 5. No, okay. Well, I don't want anybody to leave at the very end. What I want to do is to bring everybody up here. I'm going to get like a whole group picture of everybody, like everybody. All right. You're all going to stand here, and then I'm going to run and I'm going to jump over you, and they're going to take a picture as I'm jumping. It's so cool. Kind of like a mosh pit, but usually people don't catch me, so we're good. But that's kind of the plan as we go through this. But Lindsay's super excited.
Let's do our picture.
Oh, yeah, we'll do this one.
Okay.
And we go.
So thank you, Adam, and thanks for everyone. I'm really impressed with the engagement here and the commitment to stay through. I mean, it's beautiful here. I really have never been to a conference where the attendance is this thorough and all the way through. So huge heartfelt thank you for that. And before I get started, I don't know if I just dropped it in the WhatsApp chat. There is a survey. It's like state of the industry, because if we're coming together as peers, I think it's really important to see, what our peers are doing. And so collecting that data is really helpful. And so far, it's exactly what I thought. This really is the wild, wild west. It's very interesting what's coming through and the difference in everyone as far as how you're delivering the GLP-1, how you're pricing it, memberships versus packages, things like that. So far, we've hit 30, but I would really love to hit 50. I mean, there was total with virtual, it's like, are we at like 400 providers? I think just the more that data we collect, and that creates that truly kind of like standard of care that we can start having a real conversation about. That's the only goal of the census. And I'll read with you some stats that are the most interesting to me personally. You might have different curiosity about where you stand with your peers or what other people are doing. So if you fill out the survey, I'll send out the results. And my goal is that I'm not a tech person, so I'm going to have my DA do this, or maybe Alex. I would love to make it a leak breathing thing where you can just go, it's like always updating, right? And you can go see. So 70% of GLP-1 weight loss providers include the cost of the peptide into your program or your package as part of the pricing. Half of you, or let me take that back, half of us, our revenue comes, 50% of the revenue of our whole entire business comes from the GLP-1 revenue. 70% of us we're not offering weight loss prior to GLP-1s coming onto the market. So that means 70% of us, this is really like a new focus for your business. This one is kind of like calling all of us out because this used to be the foundation of what we did and we went away from it the busier we got, is 87% of us, before I said, what are we really selling? What's the outcome our clients want from a GLP-1? And does that mean their body visually changes? 87% of us are not taking photos. And as we go through and I'm literally calling myself on that. 57% of us don't have a maintenance membership. 53% of us do have a weight loss, like active weight loss membership. So those are some of the stats coming in. Do you guys like hearing that? Like what? Yeah, I think it's really helpful too. The one that I couldn't even write the percentages on that's really fascinating to me is how we deliver the peptide. Like if we're pre-filling the syringes and injecting they have to come in each week for the injection? Are we sending them home with pre-filled syringes? Are we writing the script and they're calling the pharmacy and paying the pharmacy directly? That is a hilarious rainbow of all over the place. And that's very interesting for me with the whole like compliance issue and why these GLP-1s are essentially, they're threatened to be taken away from us. So the more we can come together and create standard of care, I just think the more it protects us. So those are some interesting stats. Also, just pen and paper. As I go through all of this, I want the number one takeaway for you to be, I am not an accountant. I do not have a business background, and I'm learning as I go too. So what I'm going to share with you is from experience. And the best thing I ever did was, as I built the business, for those of you that didn't hear my prior talk, I launched in 2016. And we grew and grew and grew. And I started with one used red light machine, and now we have over 35 pieces of equipment, services, offerings, and 2 locations. And I used to be the type of person that more things, more like, we're providers and we're biohackers. We like the toys. And so I thought that more of those things meant a better business, and that more money, meaning more revenue, the top line, meant a better business. And that if my team was busy, that was good and we should hire more. So it was like more is better, right? But then I was still sweating payroll oftentimes. And so I would like, okay, well, I need to just buy a new thing and offer more. Or at the end of the year, the dreaded tax season, I'd be like, where the F is the money, right? And so what I learned the hard way is more revenue and more offerings and more things is not necessarily better. What you want to get really good at is profit. So I've had to learn that. And the best thing I ever did was hire. Number one was to learn that my accountant was not my strategy, was not the person that was going to teach me how to be profitable. Their job is to file your taxes. And it's too late if you're going to them with your numbers and asking them, did I make money? Like, it's too late at that point. You need someone that's strategically helping you and personalizing, just like we want to offer personalized healthcare. You need that partnership. You need that provider in your business. So personally, I've found Pam Jordan. She offered me a referral code for anyone interested and you really need that person in your life. So she is a strategist, and she wants you to be a profitable business because she believes in our industry. Our industry is her favorite to help. And she believes that if we don't have a profit, we can't help anyone. And so it's PamJordan.com. Jordan is JORDAN.com. If you just mention me or the conference, she'll know and you'll get a discount code. That was last minute, so that's why I had my phone. I forgot the clicker. There we go. And she can help you know your numbers and plan ahead. But what we're going to talk about is like, how do you provide memberships, packages, whatever that looks like for you, that really help provide a profit, but also that outcome that you want. And that as you grow, it's sustainable growth. So I see profitability being a strong struggle for healthcare providers. And we mentioned it earlier about how it's hard to find also team members and to attract healthcare providers that aren't afraid to talk about, and that, being salesy and making money isn't like the heebie-jeebies and they want to run and hide, right? And so we really need to, and also shifting from being transactional to transformational. We are not selling. Yes, we offer GLP-1s. That's a tool that we use to get the results, but that's not necessarily what we're selling. We are so much more than that. That's not why we started this. And so let's get into it. Shifting from a one-time sell to lifetime value. And that's not just a mindset. That's actually the mindset that you're going to track that number. And that lifetime value, I touched on it, Vince touched on it. It also helps you know if you're getting an ROI for the marketing companies, the advertising, whatever you've tried, and I hear it all the time. that it's really hard. I think everyone is still struggling to find marketing companies that know our industry and that can figure out how to bring cash paying wellness clients in the door. I mean, how many people here have spent, let's say, $1,000 to $5,000 a month on a marketing agency that promised you the world, and it was 6 months later and you felt like you still weren't, no one was coming in the door? I hear it all the time. It's such a big pain point. So it's a mindset shift that's actually your responsibility to know what Vince went over. So I highly I don't think there's a lot of information on you, but that lifetime value to your cost to acquire can really help you make sure that you're not wasting your money, where you're spending the money that you do have left over. If you're spending it on marketing, that it's spent in the right way and that it's working. And then aligning your offers that it aligns with why you're in business, that it's your brand voice, that it's your mission and vision, that you're not stuck in that comparison what everyone else is doing. I think these are my own, yeah. Hold on. Okay, these are my old slides, bear with me. If anybody wants to bring me my computer, that would be awesome. Okay. So I know what happened before. So we launched our GLP-1 weight loss program in 2022. We didn't have really a model to follow except for pricing, except for the dosing schedule, right? So it was like, okay, we know that people, thank you. We know that people need, you guys will get these slides. I'll make sure of that. And I'm so sorry that those are not the updated ones. So I'll just use these to keep me on track. But it was 70% of you are including your cost of peptide into your program or pricing. So in 2022, when we launched, that's how we did it as well. And then about a year and a half into our weight loss program, I started to try to figure out like stability and predictability because we were growing and had gained a lot of weight loss clients. And it felt like the more we gained, it was really confusing. Like, were we profitable? Were we not? And when I sat and tried to figure out, how do you figure out the margin of profitability on these GLP-1 programs? How do you figure that out and predict it when every person that walks in the door needs a different amount of cost of good? So the cost of good is what is required. Like that's what you're selling, every single client needs it. You can't offer it without that. If you don't have it, you can't offer that program. So your GLP-1 program, the GLP-1 is your cost of good. How do you predict revenue, predict margins of profitability when if all of you were my clients right now, you might need 5 units per week and you might need 50. That is a huge range. And Business 101 is building a pricing structure. If you have a cost of good, the cost of good is the same for every single like sale transaction. That's why like Starbucks or like McDonald's, they're famous for, when they started to scale, they measured the ketchup that went on every single hamburger, right? Because that's how they predict the profit they're making off of every hamburger. That's how they started to figure out what products are they willing to like have a lower profit margin on, but it's it's what gets people in the door, and what is the upsell that makes higher profit margin. So I was sitting there like going, after a year and a half, going, man, this GLP-1 program that we're offering is awesome. It's brought us a lot more revenue, but for sure our profit margins were not increasing. And if we're growing and scaling and we're not able to increase the profit margins, and actually the cost of delivering that service, more clients, more team, more logistics every day, trying to figure out if we have a peptide actually coming or if they're on back order or what's the heck's happening, was becoming very costly. And so what I did is I decided, from purely a long-term vision, I was like, this is unpredictable and I don't like it. And I realized the other thing that scared I would lose sleep and wake up in the middle of the night thinking about, what if tomorrow morning is the morning that we wake up and the FDA has pulled it from the market? And I just was freaked out. And so I started to play with what would it look like if we pulled the GLP-1 out. So in January of 2024, it took us a while. We prepped, we went over scenarios and we prepped for a while. It also meant we were going to deliver a change to our current clients. We were going to have to tell our current clients, hey, your GLP-1 weight loss program, it no longer includes the cost of the peptide. You now pay for that separately. But that's what we did in January of 2024. Does that scare any of you in here to think about going home and doing that? I don't blame you, because it's change. Clients don't like change. It feels like, you know, someone mentioned earlier, you don't want to nickel and dime your clients. But here is the thing that we've all learned. Can you agree that Rhonda taught us? There's so many other GLP-1s coming, and they're not even GLP-1s. They're different strains of peptides, like the weight loss peptide, like we're just at the beginning. There's how many different ones, Rhonda, coming down the pipeline? Like 60? Yeah. So long-term thinking, if you're building your pricing based off of something that's included in it that's going to change, I highly recommend that you consider what would it look like if you treated your GLP-1 like Botox. And there's lots of, and it's okay, like your consumer, if you like are able to think outside the box this way, this is normal. This is actually kind of, if you put it on the lens, it's actually weird that we're doing it this way. It's highly, it's not really even, it's not done in business anywhere else where you have from the difference of 5 units to 50 units. No business would ever build on that model. So I don't think personally, this is my recommendation, I don't think we should as providers either, because I did that for 1.5 years. The other thing that started to happen is that our consumers we were training our consumer to think that what we were selling them was the peptide. No matter how much we tried to tell them that, you know, it was our guidance, that's what they were paying us for. It was the other things that they got with our program that they were paying us for. When it came down to the money, they started to price shop us because they were like, well, I know you say all that, but really what I'm buying from you is the peptide. So when we took that out, it really set us apart, and it trains our new consumers now and the ones that stayed that they're paying us for our provider expertise. They're paying us for guidance. They're paying us to help them get that personalized dose. They're paying us to get to their goal weight without the negative side effects. And whatever prescription they need, whether if it's semaglutide to start and then they switch to tirzepatide and then they go on to maintenance, it doesn't matter. They're paying for that separately to the pharmacy, just like we do in the healthcare system. Because, and this is also a compliance and regulation thing that in the future has been talked about on pharmacy boards. They don't, and not every state, even a lot of providers don't even have a license to dispense, but they're dispensing GLP-1s. So it's a big compliance thing that you can also consider. There is a reason that our healthcare system separated out drugs from what your physicians can collect money for. There is a reason that we have pharmacies. It wasn't because pharmacies wanted to exist. It was actually because our healthcare system is designed to protect the consumer that way. And so one thing that when we separated out the GLP-1 from the cost of our weight loss program, and we told the clients, you're going to pay us, you're establishing care with us, just like you do with your primary care provider. So this is like our consult talk. We say, do you know how you need to have a primary care provider to go have your regular, when insurance asks you who's your primary care, you have to establish care with them. They have to do an exam on you annually and say they know you well enough to provide care for you if something comes up. So the analogy I use for clients is you can't walk into the primary care doctor next to us and say, I have strep throat, will you see me for strep throat? He would say, no, you're not my established client, you have to go to the urgent care, right? Why are we treating weight loss like it's different? If you're gonna give someone a GLP-1 for 1 week, because you and say, you know, for 1 week of GLP-1 or 4 weeks with us, it's this price. And then say, and then if you leave and go to henrymed.com for 3 months and come back to me, you can just start right back up again. We're treating it we're treating it like it's not healthcare. We're treating it like we're literally drug dealers. And so most of us are nurses, some type of wellness center provider here. So if you can frame it from that way, you can build your membership and packaging around that way too. And it not only protects your profitability, but it also, and predictability and profitability, but it also protects like whatever happens in the market. If you wake up tomorrow and tirzepatide's gone, but semaglutide's still here, you still have a program. When the new generation comes out, you don't have to say, okay, we're excited, you know, everyone's like talking about this new one, but we're not ready for it because we have to sit down and figure out 5 different pricing models. So you also can pivot a lot faster in this industry, the weight loss industry, when whatever prescription you're using is treated like it's the pharmacy. It also helps build retention, not for the ones that are going to price shop you. They're going to go price shop. Let them. What it builds retention for is the people, your clients that value the guidance that you give them, that value the other things they get with your services, your membership, your packages. It also allows you to stack things in there that are proprietary to you, that are just what you do. For some of you, that might be aesthetics. I've heard a lot of you are bringing on like aesthetic things. For some of you, that might be the longevity. You know, for some of you, it might be nutrition. We have psychology. So it helps you focus on who you are and what you do. And that's just a tool that is a prescription you're giving them. And that's also how you can create those upsell opportunities. Now I'm clicking with my computer, not the. So when we're designing memberships, let me just check this one really quick. Oh yeah. So by the way, when we did that in January of 2024 and we pulled out the GLP-1 from the membership that we had. So the membership we had at the time was $450 every month for your GLP-1 weight loss program. Now, like we said, some people might need the full vial. You know, they're taking the max 50 units. I speak in units, I'm sorry, 50 units a week. Some of our clients were getting to their goal weight at 5. And no matter what, we're just collecting $450. And every month. So what we did in January 2024, we said the program is now $450 every 4 weeks. You pay separately for whatever prescription you need to get the results that we are going to customize for you. And it's every 4 weeks. Did you catch that 4 weeks? How many cycles of 4 weeks is there in a year? 13. There's 12 months in a year. 4 weeks on a weekly dose item. What we found is that every month was creating a lot of confusion for their like check-in and their dosing. And so going to the talking in weeks to them helped us tremendously with like getting results, but also that them coming in and meeting with their provider. So now we speak in weeks. We didn't do it just for the money of the 13 cycles, but we really did it for if you're going to keep the GLP-1 and in the cost of whatever you're selling, if you're going to include that in your pricing, that's one shift that you could also consider, is speaking in the terms of weeks instead of months, because it's of the weekly dose. It can help with your check-ins and things like that too. So when we did that, our profit margin went from best guess 42% to 287%. Because that cost of good was eating and it was so variable. So when we're designing memberships, if you don't do memberships, that's okay. Think of, when I say memberships, think of it as like a 16-week package. So because when we sell a weight loss membership, we require a 16-week commitment. So that means even though they can pay every 4 weeks, we ask them to commit for 4 cycles of that and 16 weeks total. And what we tell them is, because this is a customized and you tier the dose and change the dose as you go to get you into active weight loss, get you into that, you're starting to burn about 1 pound of weight loss a week. We need minimum 16 weeks with you. You know, we need to see if you're going to have nausea. We're going to need to see if you have these side effects and adjust your dose as we go. And the minimum we need is 16 weeks. So you can consider, when I say memberships, you know, essentially we're selling a 16-week program. And so what we want to do is start with the outcome. And that's what I touched on that this morning, but you know, staying away from talking that what you're selling is the GLP-1. So what I'll show you in the slide decks you'll get, I included our advertising funnel, like, so how we're advertising it. So on the ad that we're advertising with, paid Facebook ads, we say achieve your ideal weight with Sculpt, personalized weight loss solutions. And then the underneath, like, it starts to go into landing page stuff, sustainable results backed by science. That's our GLP-1 program we're advertising, but we don't use the term GLP-1, and sure as heck don't use any of the, like, it's, you know, generic Ozempic or anything like that. So that's like how we're speaking to the consumer. It's personalized weight loss program. So that's how we start with the outcome. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy and shiny. There's nothing spectacular about that verbiage. You know, a probably copywriting person would be like, that's not enough. We could do better. We probably could do better. But it worked for us. And then what we want to do is package with purpose, meaning what we wanted to do was have that predictability of the profit margin. We know that they're going to meet with a nurse practitioner to start. She says, I might be expensive, but I'm not cheaper. I don't know how she always says it, but so, you know, your provider that needs to write that prescription is not cheap. And they're the most costly money revenue generating person on your team, most likely. So we need to assume that because it's a prescription, that client might need to meet with them every time if they're having like negative side effects, you know, if she's having to call in, you know, like troubleshoot, anything like that. So you want to package with purpose and like assume the most costly thing. And then assume like whatever supportive staff is needed. So even though the in-person check-ins we do every 4 weeks are 15 minutes, I build in the total team. So a nurse practitioner, a nurse, and an wellness coach, entry-level supportive person. I include all 3 of their pay per hour as just straight operational cost. Rhonda, the nurse practitioner, might not need to meet within that check-in, but she might need to. She might have to troubleshoot with the team. And then the other thing that we started to see is that our clients, when we first started in the beginning, we were trying to cross-sell them the supportive things like we have, cryotherapy, infrared sauna. And we were having a hard time cross-selling it. They were telling the clients about it, but the clients kind of were like, well, I'm already paying for the weight loss. I'm just happy with that. I'm just going to see how that works for me. So what we did when we pivoted is we decided, you know what, the cryotherapy, the infrared sauna, this stuff is sitting here when they come in for their check-ins anyways. So we just decided with the change, when we went to the GLP-1 was separate, we said, we're going to separate that out, but what you get now is you just get the things that we have sitting here that we know are going to help you feel better. You just get that with our program. So we really we were like, this is us. We want you to know about these things. It's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you tighten your skin. This is just what you're going to do with our weight loss program. So you can think about how can you stack your modalities that keep it like that make you special. You know, what do you have that nobody else has that you can include in the offer? The things that, I mean, I hate to say this, but the things maybe you've invested in that are collecting dust. You can add them to your program. You can add them to your program and as a way to add value and be something that sets you apart from anyone else in your area. And then build in structure and consistency. So when we made that change, yes, There was a lot of current clients that were not happy with that change. But we added value in the price, even though we weren't lowering that monthly, and so we had increased the price. What we did do is say, you know what, we're helping people get to their goal in weight loss. And then we're saying, congratulations, if you'd like to talk about maintenance dosing, let us know. And some people would for sure do maintenance dosing. But what we did was we let them go, like, whenever you need a refill, just let us know. And that created another place of just unpredictability and inconsistency. And when I would ask the team, do you feel like our clients are getting to their goal weight, and then are they using us to maintain? Like, are they asking for a refill? And my team would say, yeah, I think so. A lot of our clients are maintaining with us. Well, when I ran the data, it showed the complete opposite. And if they were coming in and getting a vial, it was very unpredictable, which I, from a moral and our core values standpoint, did not like. I didn't like that they kind of were just popping in whenever they wanted to get their drug. And honestly, to take our provider time to say, I need a refill. And so what we decided to do, and there was also a problem for that client that's reached their goal weight. That's a lot of value. You've sat with them, let's say it takes them 6 months, 6 check-ins. And when I say check-in, they come in, do their body scan, talk to the wellness nurse or the nurse practitioner about how they're doing, get their next recommended dose, and then we get them to their goal weight. And we've helped them do that without a lot of negative side effects. They feel great. They're excited. There's so much value in that. And we were just like, okay, cool, congratulations. Then we have a loss of consistency, and what we're doing is spending our time and energy. Okay, that person's done. We need to go find the next person. And what I kept saying is those people that have reached their goal weight those are our people. Like, and think about the psychology and what you know about a person once you've helped them reach their goal weight. I mean, people always joke that like hairstylists are like therapists. Aren't you all like therapists now doing weight loss? I mean, like, you know a lot about someone once you've helped them get their goal weight. So what we did is we decided to offer a maintenance membership. So when we made that change, that while you're actively losing weight, it's $450 every 4 weeks. You pay for your peptides separate, but guess what? We're going to get you to your goal weight. When we get you to your goal weight, we're going to find the lowest dose needed to get there. Do you know what happened? Before we offered that program and the peptide was built into the program, we were on track. I was spending $30,000 a month with Strive to buy that cost of good, the peptide. When we changed the program and we asked people to pay separately for their peptide, we gained clients, and the amount of spend on peptides went down to $18,000. Why do you think that happened? Why would we be? Because what we were doing is like even though it was like we were being the pharmacy, they were still buying the peptide from us, but it was separate. So why do you think that when they started to pay separately for their peptide, the amount spent on that went down? Do you think they appreciated being at a lower dose more? How many people have heard your clients kind of almost try to trick you into upping their dose or want to give you more? How many of you are dealing with the faster is better? I want to lose the weight as fast as I can. They won't say it, but there's ways they say it. You can tell they're trying to do it. How many of you experience the drug dealer on the block, that your client becomes the drug dealer on the block? They get their vial and all of a sudden their mother and neighbors are losing weight too, but you didn't prescribe their mother and weight. So it was very interesting what we started to realize when you pass on that, you treat it like really it's just what they need because they're paying for it. They appreciate, they think about it differently. And they like being on the lower dose because we talk to them about maintenance. We tell them, we're going to get you to maintenance. And guess what? When you get to maintenance, because we've helped you, we have that relationship, we're going to have ongoing care with you. Just like you have a primary care doctor that you have ongoing care with. If you get strep throat, you get to pop in and see your doctor, right? Our ongoing care weight management is only $249 every 4 weeks. You get a bonus savings for the fact that we got to your goal weight together. And you can do that even with high ticket packages. You can offer like follow-up ones, maintenance ones, things like that. So that really helped us profit proof through the transformation. Another one is simplifying and as you scale. The other thing that we found is when we were trying to charge for the cryo and the sauna and the things we wanted them to do anyways to get better results that we had sitting there, you know, equipment we're paying for. We found that actually we started to sell more weight loss memberships, not just because of the value of having those things, but it was simple. Instead of having like a weight loss membership and a weight loss member, you know, you could also do this, you could also do that. And my team trying to explain the 30 other things that we have, when it just went to the weight loss membership is this. Oh my gosh, the way my team sold, it was just so much easier for them. They're not trying to find 15 different pricing in the system. And wait, what's the price of that? Well, if they add this, well, what's that? They're just like, it's just our weight loss program. You should do it. That's a much easier sell. Something I didn't share, but selling with confidence and clarity. And again, you guys will get all these slides. There's right in the middle of selling with confidence and clarity it says use client stories and testimonials to build trust and show proof. And somebody was asking me this when I was over in the vendor area. You know, if you didn't have a large paid marketing budget, or if you were starting, you're relatively new, how would you go about marketing? And I know what I would do because to launch our weight loss program, we strategically waited until we had 3 of our own personal stories that we had helped. One of them was me. The other was Rhonda's husband, the nurse practitioner in our clinic's husband. So her own personal testimonial as well. She was jokes. You guys all suck. Like I worked my butt off to get to my ideal weight because so she's always like, that's always a joke between her and I that I took the quote easy way out and got to use the GLP-1. But I lost 35 pounds myself. And, you know, and here I was the owner of the wellness center and I still was struggling with some hormonal things and inflammation and stress, like Dr. Porter talked about. I was a walking example of that. And so what we did is we collected our own internal stories. And then we just went to the list that we already had and we announced a new weight loss program. And we shared those stories. And so that's really, really huge. We also did that when we had brought on a new aesthetic device. We got about 3 really powerful stories, or at least a before and after. And then we did our launch party for that device. Because people are skeptical and they want to know that you're a product of your own product in some way. So I think that's a really powerful, it doesn't cost you, you know, what it costs you is being patient to, you know, you're really doing your own R&D, but then it builds belief in your team as well. Because when your team sees it's worked internally and that you're not just selling them what some marketing company said or the equipment company said, that's a powerful way to help your team sell confidently as well too. Another example of people don't wake up just wanting to do cryo or IVs, get poked, get freezing cold, things like that is, I think it might be, let me look here, is I'll tell you one thing that we did. We were actually like seeing not a huge crossover from our weight loss clients to our aesthetic devices. And we brought on a facial dynamic muscle stimulation. So like TriLift, M-Face. We brought that on, but we weren't really seeing our weight loss clients buying it the way that I thought. And we had been advertising it as dynamic muscle stimulation for the face, TriLift, you know, lift and tone your face. The way, like clients were like, cool, but it wasn't selling it the way I wanted. And so then we decided, let's have an anti-Ozempic face and butt party. Everyone that came to the party was all of our weight loss clients that we'd already tried to talk to about. They thought it was a new thing. They literally showed up to the party like, what's this new thing that you got? We're like, it's the same one that we've had. And they're like, oh, but we presented it. We treated it like education. What we did is a 40-minute presentation about when you lose weight, what happens, you know, is GLP-1 eating your muscle, is it not? What happens to your skin as you lose weight? What's the solutions to that problem? And so we sold an anti-Ozempic face and butt package. And our weight loss clients loved it. So that's just another kind of like thinking outside of the box. Creating that consistent client journey, that's an example, I think, of the, you know, understanding what we tell our clients. We lead with that confidence. We plan on this being a journey. We are going to get you to your goal weight, and then we're going to help you maintain it. And that's and understanding and speaking to them. And when you do get to your goal weight, if you have someone that's going to lose 60 pounds and you have an aesthetic device, we tell them we know you're going to lose 60 pounds with us, because we know that you'll lose about a pound a week. We know that about 15, 20 pounds of weight loss in, you're going to start to probably feel some skin changes. So what we tell our clients is at 15 to 20 weeks, you're going to start your skin tightening. Because we also educate them that it's much harder to tighten already loose skin than to prevent loose skin. And we teach them about how skin turnover works. Another of like creating a consistent client journey, but predicting the client journey that you know is going to happen. One of the ways that we built like automated key touch points is that if we know they're going to lose 15 to 20 pounds, and that's when they're going to start to have some skin laxity, what we do is we've offered before, where at 20 weeks of your weight loss program with us, you just receive a congratulations skin tightening treatment. The cost to acquire a brand new person to come in the door to try a skin tightening treatment with us is way more than that 30 minutes that a weight loss client that starts to believe is actually going to work and that we're the ones helping them. For them to spend 30 minutes with my esthetician tightening their skin, that cost is way lower than trying to find a random Facebook person to come in and do a skin tightening treatment. So that's automated, you know, automate what you know is going to happen and lead with that like educational confidence that you know their journey that's going to happen and you're already a step ahead and this is the solution to their problem that's coming. And then train your team to talk that way too. We realized that for many, many years when we would hire the entry-level wellness technicians, is what we used to call them, the people, my team that runs like the cryo, cleans the sauna, you know, helps a new cryotherapy person, we used to call them techs. And what we realized is we wanted them to be so much more than techs. We wanted them to, like, if someone asked about weight loss and they're trying cryotherapy, we wanted them to be empowered to tell them about our weight loss program. And when we started to kind of like figure out like why didn't you just talk? I heard that client talking about how they tried cryo because they want to lose weight. I didn't hear you mention the weight loss program. Oh, well, I'm not a nurse. So they didn't feel empowered. So Rhonda, as a nurse practitioner, has started to empower our team. We changed the name. They're now wellness coaches. And we empower them that they actually do know about how to help people lose weight and, you know, to speak to a cryotherapy person about weight loss. So making that mindset shift, even in like the titles that you call your supportive staff. And so, yeah, we really have been focused on that, empowering our team that they are educators, they're not selling. They're educating people on how to feel better. Equipping your team with the right tools. Our team loves flyers. I swear, if we just have a flyer, they're like, okay, I can talk about it. So, you know, figuring out what those sticky items are that help your team feel more confident. Making it, you know, practicing layman terms, role playing. Everyone hates role playing, but man, it helps. Recently, I heard someone on our team unsell someone in AD. The guy walked in, had drove in, walked into our center, and I just happened to be there in the back, and he walked into the front desk, and he's like, and my team said, you know, we don't recognize you. What's your name? How come you're here? He's like, oh, I was interested in NAD. And my team member was like, oh yeah, here's This is so embarrassing. She's like, oh yeah, I don't know a lot about that. And she went and she grabbed the nurse's charting paper and handed him the thing. And I'm like, ah. I tried to stay out of it and let her, like trust the process. I ended up took over, sold him an NAD package. Turns out he didn't need to know anything about NAD. He'd been traveling and was doing NAD wherever he was, and he just wanted it. And so, what we ended up doing is I asked the team members permission, and we ended up workshopping that example, and we role played, And so what we trained on is when someone comes in and they ask for something you're not quite sure, you feel like you don't know the answer, to just start asking questions like, oh, what makes you want NAD? What do you know about NAD? And so that if that's a little like trick we've helped our team members with, is just get the client to say why they're there, what pain points they have, how did they hear about it, what outcome are they hoping for? And then please don't hand them the nurse's charting paperwork. But that's just an example of what went through her head was, I'm not a nurse. I don't know a lot about NAD. I don't know what to say. I didn't plan for him coming in. I'm not used to walk-ins very often. And so, sometimes it's like, I could have just assumed that she wasn't a good front person. And all she needed was some empowerment and some role playing herself. So, and she really actually appreciated the role playing. And she said, that's happened a few times and I hate it when that happens and I just didn't know what to do. So lead with transformation, not necessarily like speaking in the terms of what you offer. Use stories and visuals to build belief. Make the offer feel exclusive. We do a lot of member-only specials, member-only events. We do client appreciation events and invite our VIP members. We go and see in the last year who's our top 20 spenders, and we invite them to have you can either do like a special door prize when they come in as a VIP. You can also do, if they buy the special of the month, they get a bonus with it because they're a member or a VIP. Really, those clients that are loyal to you, treat them like it. And they love it. But that brand loyalty, those are your lifetime value people. And then create value, don't discount. That can be really easy to fall into the trap of discounting yourself instead of just adding value. I think a great example of that is when we changed our weight loss program. And you'll see it in the slides that we send out. I actually list out our membership weight loss program now, and it lists all of the value. And so, it says that you get the value of cryotherapy, infrared sauna, the 13 other services they get. They get membership pricing, all of those things. Now, it's normally $450 every 4 weeks. Currently, we're doing a win-back campaign. So previous weight loss clients that didn't do maintenance or have fallen off, we're doing a win-back campaign. And so we're calling it, instead of a discount, we're calling it a we miss you special pricing. So that's just a little bit difference in scripting there. It's still like we're offering them to come back at $249 every 4 weeks instead of the $450, but we're calling it a loyal client, returning member price. I can't remember the exact term, but we're not calling it a discount. I think, oh yeah. Yeah, and we refine our offers. We did that, like, we changed the $450 and pulled the GLP-1 out. That was based off of data. We track and I have that accountability, PamJordan.com. She is on me. She will not I have to meet with her monthly, and she yells at me if I'm selling things that are like losing money. And she's forced me to understand, where I was doing that, where I had opportunity, what needed to just go because there was no ROI in it. And so, use data, but also find accountability for that data and experts. None of us are CPAs, accountants. I mean, if you are, that's awesome. But I'm assuming none of you are CPAs, accountants, or accountants that have that strategy and experience, and nor should you be. You should just be focused on getting your clients the best results possible and partner with those specialists. And they are out there, I promise you. And so if your current accountant is just only doing your taxes for you, that's fine. There definitely are strategic consultants out there that want to help you be profitable. And she's just an example of one of them. So, and I'm so sorry about the slides. Here's the conclusion, but we can kind of just go into questions if you want, because I think I'm at time.
There we go. Awesome. I know you mentioned that you run a membership program and you've pulled the price of the drugs out.
Yes.
We have a hybrid system where we have a membership, but that really covers half of our profit center. The other half is profit markup on the drugs. Like, are you just doing direct pass through of the Strive pricing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Anyone else want it?
Lindsay, whenever you guys separated the drug prices from your membership, I guess from the price point you had originally,
Mhm.
when you separated them, did your price points change?
Well, technically it did, because it was $450 with the peptide included. And then we pulled out the peptide, they paid for that separately, but the $450 stayed the same. So it stayed at $450. And also we changed that instead of monthly, the $450 was every 4 weeks. Because we just had so many people that were on, they would come in monthly, but for whatever reason, they'd ran out of their peptide because of the weekly dose. The month can really throw you off. So we were just having people short peptide or had too much, and then it just created confusion for the prescription process.
To go off of that, when you're billing them their membership every 4 weeks, what dosing are you having them buy from like Strive Pharmacy so that you make sure that they don't have 3 months worth of peptide and you're getting your monthly membership money still?
We daily, I feel like, are still like figuring out the best options for that. Rhonda is really, really good at watching for whatever options. I believe she's really excited about a new vial size that Strive just came out with. Yeah.
You should have peptide left in your vial. You're gonna have to have another one shipped to you. And so it just depends on what dose. They have 50, a 100, and a 200 in the vial. You can try the smaller one.
Yeah. So Rhonda just said that they do have a 50-unit vial. And so if the client, your weight loss program person is on a smaller per week dose, then we purposely give them a prescription for the appropriate amount of GLP-1 that keeps them only about a month's supply, as close as we can get. It's not always possible. Sometimes they end up with more. But we, definitely working with your pharmacy and shopping around. I mean, sometimes you just have to find what works best. We're really hopeful that the compounding pharmacies will continue to really listen to that feedback, that sending someone a 3-month supply of a GLP-1 is very dangerous. People don't listen to instructions. They think more is better. And when you tell them 5 units, they think that's not enough. That's so tiny. I'm a bigger person. I'm going to take 10 and not tell my provider until I puke and blame it on them. So we're just as frustrated. But that's the closest option we have right now is for sure prescribing based on the dose and figuring out what's the smallest and most appropriate amount to send to them.
I come from an urgent care background, and I think probably 20% of patients will give us a fake credit card on file or one that's not exposed.
Yeah.
Or they cancel it 2 days later.
Yeah.
With your membership model, How often do you run into that kind of scenario?
Yeah, we have about 10% of that. I mean, 8 to 10%, of canceled cards is lower than that because 8 to 10% is our, attrition actually. So, and a lower percentage of that is actually like ghosted cards, I call them. I will tell you, when we went to tried, like this morning, I mentioned that we had tried for the last 6 months to become the more high ticket package place and went away from offering the membership. There's commitment there, right? So you get your money up front and you're not worried about losing that guaranteed money. The problem for us became, and every clinic is different, but our culture has a higher time selling a higher ticket. So our conversion rate went way down. $450 every 4 weeks seems to convert at the 80% plus. And so the volume is more. And so that risk of losing some to, yes, they're going to ghost us and take advantage of it and not fulfill their commitment. And are we going to chase them with collections or not? Most of the time, honestly, we just don't. You know, it's costly to chase people for collections. So we just kind of assume that, yeah, you're going to have people that are crappy and do that to you. But what we found is our revenue has been a lot higher and was the most healthy when we still just accepted that and lead, like it's easier for the client to get started at $450 versus the $2,400. And so, you know, the conversion rate is a factor there. Like, are you selling less because it is higher ticket up front? And could you have, you know, if you're wanting more clients, will that help you get there? So does that answer your, we just kind of take it as what it is. People are going to do that. We don't, I just, the energy and time and the cost of trying to chase people is not my thing, but so it does happen. Yes.
Well, I would say in any business too, I mean, you have to account for the loss
Yes.
in any, and some of
Yeah.
it's 10%, sometimes it's 15.
Yeah.
If it gets higher and start worrying, do something different.
Yeah.
So I need to answer some of the questions here as well. I know that there's a lot of hands going up. And remember, we still have the Q&A panel that's going
yeah.
to come up after this
Yeah.
too. So let me see here. With tirzepatide, with tirzepatide pulled out of the compounding pharmacies and now semaglutide pulled, how can we continue to help out patients and not get in trouble by selling these compounds meds to our patients? How would you answer that? I mean, there are other options, like, I mean, obviously LDN.
So can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so basically they're just saying with GLP-1s being pulled off the market, how are we
Oh.
going to continue to help people?
Oh yeah, I mean, I sold weight loss programs. I sold $2,400 weight loss programs when I had to use a red light machine. You don't need drugs to sell weight loss. And I'm just very strong in that because for 5 years, that's how I did it. You sell weight loss by accountability, by one-on-one personalized coaching, and for creating a relationship with a client that wants to be heard. GLP-1s are a miracle, and I pray that never happens. In my opinion, they are still available. I refuse to, I trust Strive, and if they are still providing something that we can use for our clients, I'm going to provide it for our clients. But yeah, but if that doesn't sit well with you, the risk, and it doesn't align with your values, and you don't want to offer something that has that, you know, perceived risk right now, the LDN presentation that was just presented, other peptides, you can totally, completely, brain tap. And he showed there's studies showing that brain tap helps people lose weight. So there's so many options. Yeah.
How could what you're talking about work in a primary care outpatient setting where the patients expect us, and expect is kind of in quotes there, to be doing this for them as part of their preventative care?
I'm like, Tanya? No. She's in the back. I don't know if I can answer that because we don't do any primary care. So I feel like that would be better for trying to think who. I mean, I wish that shouldn't our healthcare system view a healthy body composition as primary care? That's how I would lead. If I was a primary care provider, I would be like, the number one thing I should help you with is a healthy body composition. There, we talked about it earlier. If you had to choose between testosterone and a weight loss, like nothing is going to help that person more in their primary health. And we saw it during COVID. Like the number one comorbidity was obesity. So I would lead with that. That's how I do it. It matters.
And this one does, do you ship or do you keep the peptide at the clinic and dispense it there at the time of the sale? Or,
We have tried it.
or do you, or is it more towards the drop ship?
Oh, we've tried it all. I promise you, you name it, we've tried the way of delivering it. We tried in the beginning with trusting clients and sending them the vial. People don't listen to instructions or accidentally overdose themselves. So then we went to, from the last 2.5 years, we filled the syringe and they injected it. Like we taught them how to inject it. So it was much more controlled. We feel like the compliance and the things that are happening, we do want to go away from that model. So we, again, are trying and now that there's more vial options available, we're trying this just recently. Wish us luck. I don't know. This is why I want an association. Like, I want to know how, if you guys are shipping vials, like, how is it working for you? Because it just honestly terrifies me, but we're going to try it again. And so right now, what we're doing again is shipping them the vial from the pharmacy, but using the more appropriate vial, not just giving everyone a 3-month supply.
One more from here, and then I know we have some over here. What system do you use for the auto debit monthly membership? Like what
It's
program?
built in, yeah, our booking system. It has some CRM capabilities as Wellness Living. It's a great memberships booking system. It's you know, it was built for like gyms and things like that, kind of like a MindBody. I don't know if you guys have heard of MindBody. So it's our booking and CRM, and it runs our membership auto pays. Wellness Living.
This is something I'm sorry, I'm going to ask this one too, but she will come and actually answer some of these questions, and I'll get some of the rest of these questions at the mastermind Q&A. Did you go into like that $450 that you were, what's included in that?
Yeah, and we'll send those slides out.
Okay.
It's listed there, but in the $450 is every 4 weeks you come in and sit, so you get person in touch. If they are virtual, they have to be in the state of Washington for us. We aren't multi-state. If they live more than 60 miles away, we allow virtual. And what they get with the $450 is that in-person check-in where they sit face-to-face, talk about how they're doing. Before they sit down, they've done their body composition scan. So they get access to our body composition. And then in that is all of our wellness membership services, cryotherapy, infrared sauna, compression. It's the electric cryofacial. So it's not like the nitrogen cryofacial. There's some red light infrared saunas in there. Brain tap. We love brain tap. And our clients love it too, if they give it a chance, and a massage chair. So, and I had all of those things before we launched the weight loss program. I had really built, I was a kind of like a Restore Hyper Wellness. That's who I was becoming. Yeah.
Do you have other memberships, or remember what you guys, it's your medical weight loss and then everything else like a package or?
Yeah.
different?
We historically have had, what's that? Oh, yeah, thank you. If we have other memberships, or do they have to be a weight loss client? No, we have the wellness membership only. So all of those things I just listed, the cryosauna, all of that is $179 a month, unlimited. I like to keep it simple. I've tried the tiered things before. Tiered works great for some models. I just found it to be, it's more decisions for your team to try to figure out what to sell them. I had tiered leveled wellness memberships for a long time. And when we went to just one membership unlimited, we sold more. So it tends to be my culture of our team. Simpler, the better. So we have the wellness membership, and then we just launched with Repeat MD, like a beauty membership, like the beauty banking. So that's new for us. So now we have those 3 tiers, kind of like the wellness, the weight loss, and the beauty.
I would say also confused patients don't buy either.
Oh, that's, yeah.
People are already trying to figure
For real.
everything out. And if it's like, oh, option 1, 2, 3, what do I do?
Yes.
So don't
Yeah.
put them in a candy.
And we tried that for a brief window. We tried that with the weight loss. Like, oh, if you want 4 wellness services in your weight loss, it's the $450. But if you want unlimited wellness, it's $499. Well, then people are like, this month I want the $499, and next month, oh, I changed my mind. I used 3.5. So I'm going to go back to the $450. And it's just like, there's so much admin work, right? Of like changing people's accounts and switching things over. So we really find the more simple, the more you sell, and the easier it is for your team to sell.
Okay, I dream of having a clinic like yours, but at the moment, just providing like telehealth and very new.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have any good ideas of things that could be added to those packages. 'Cause right now I don't do membership
This is a great
and
question,
I'm
yeah.
like 24/7 texting my patients, just like there for them, giving them guidance. So I still want to be able to provide like good care to them, but
Yeah.
yeah, just different packages and I don't have all the
Yeah,
fancy tools.
that's definitely, we do very little telehealth. We call it virtual. Do you have, how did you end up there? Like, what is your background or your specialty? Yeah. Are there any like, so, well, mental health is huge, and you know, like Dr. Porter talking about the correlation with stress and weight loss. And man, there is a stress epidemic going on for sure. I feel like people are struggling with sleep. So if it were me, what I would really focus on is the education. I can't remember who said that yesterday. I think it was Jeff, the lawyer, you know, educate. So I would, and you're doing the GLP-1 weight loss, I'm assuming, or you're looking to do it. Okay. So I still would build some type of membership where it's just access to you and what you educate on within their membership. And then and then the GLP-1 is separate, to be honest. And I would build that recurring client base and membership base from that if it were me. But I don't have a history of proof of doing that, but that's what I would do. Because that's something that they can never take from you. You don't have to adjust that when something changes. Your people that you've educated become loyal to you, and they follow you, even if they like stop for a while. They're the ones that come back. It's a very valuable list to build, even if it's just $49 a month, you know. And and then you're recording that, you're compiling it, you start to build a library that can become intro offers, or you're running an ad and you can say, hey, you know, you get this bonus PDF because you've already done it, things like that.
Do you have a similar membership for the hormones, or is that pieced into one of your
I forgot.
memberships?
Sorry, Rhonda. Yes. Just kind of an important part. Yes, we do have men's health and women's health. Yeah, and it is a membership based. They do it with that membership. We do ask for a little bit more of it's $299 to get started, because of, you know, it's more upfront meeting with her to get to know her, and the, you know, more condensed, the first initial get to know each other. She sends them for labs. They come back right away. She probably wants to see them in 60, 90 days to see if whatever they started is, you know, okay. And then it's an ongoing $79 a month, assuming that they're okay. But what that is access to her if something comes up, something changes, things like that. And they get 4 wellness services a month. That's new. We for sure will be increasing the price on that. It's more of a building that up right now. But yeah, we really, like, when I look at my data and what long-term success looks like for us, it's building the model of memberships for us. So we really do want to build a membership for all of our buckets, or pathways, we call them. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Is that like once a month with Rhonda, or?
Yeah. Yeah, our nutrition, she asked, like, how does the nutrition work? That's in that 15-minute talk. Every 4 weeks while they're actively losing weight, they come in and have a meeting with Rhonda or the nurse, and they go over the nutrition. Like, if they're having trouble with their nutrition, they're asked to do chronometer And then, they're reviewing that. We encourage clients to wear Aura rings as well for like sleep. And they'll glance at their Aura ring with them. Sleep is a huge thing. I mean, we really should include that as part of the summit. But if you're talking about weight loss, sleep is so important. I think sleep is twice as important as food, and diet and exercise combined for weight loss. So as far as advanced, this is the thing. We are not dietitians. So when people say nutrition, to me, that is the basic things to have like healthy like get your protein, right? And we really focus a lot on the protein. If you want advanced like dietitian, like Rhonda said, she'll help them like plug in their goal and do like a chat GPT. So we empower them to learn how to do that, like as far as like macros to hit. But if you're talking advanced dietitian stuff, we have a partnership with a local dietitian because we are not trying to pretend we're dietitians. So, and someone here had they said they actually, I think it's a genius. It was Karina. She, her package includes a meeting with the dietitian and she just sends her, like a 1099. And I thought that was a great idea if your clients are really wanting that. So. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you make them sign up? So 16, or they sign and commit for 16 weeks and then if they want to stop after that, then, I mean, obviously.
Yes. Yep. After the 60, so she's asking what happens at the 16 weeks. If they, it's always just we tell them you're just going to continue to be on auto pay every 4 weeks. We ask for a 16-week commitment, but we expect that just to get to know you and make sure that you can tolerate the GLP-1, to figure out a dose that you're not having the side effects we don't want and you don't have to have necessarily, and then we are very upfront that 16 weeks is to get started. And we just have to train our clients over and over and over again. The 4-week check-in, the 8-week check-in, and the 12-week check-in, it's like, as a reminder, like we're figuring out your body right now. We're getting you to active weight loss. But then as far as how they're paying, the moment we sign them up, we let them know your card will be continue to be ran every 4 weeks until you hit your goal weight. Then we're going to have a maintenance conversation. If for some reason you do need to cancel the program, we ask for a 21-day notice to cancellation, and it has to be in a Google form that we send them to be documented. So if they request, but if they call and say, hey, I want to cancel, if they tell a staff member, they are immediately told you'll be sent a form that you need to complete. If you don't complete that form, your card you haven't technically canceled anything because we want that documentation. So thanks.
All right.